What's up, guys? Kevin Cage here with another crypto update. Hope everybody's doing well. We're going to run through some recent news today. We'll go through different alts and we'll also discuss some rumors that I saw that could or could not be true. So I don't have any information about it specifically, but we'll rant about it. First up, shared by Bitcoin Magazine, we have some news that the SEC has approved options for BlackRock's spot Bitcoin ETF. So this is really just a matter of time to have options for a Bitcoin spot ETF specifically for BlackRock, and this is a good thing. This can be seen as increased legitimacy from, institutions being recognized. This can attract more investors, can in theory enhance liquidity. I know these are options, so they're not necessarily using the underlying asset, but this has a rippling effect. So having options for BlackRock spot Bitcoin ETF opens the doors to hedging with options, with calls and puts, and this can still bring more liquidity to the market for, more market makers, institutional investors, and speculative traders. So we have the Bitcoin and the Ethereum spot ETFs, and both of these ETFs require the actual underlying asset. Options are a bit different, but they can still indirectly improve liquidity. By attracting more traders, and options trading can still generate additional volume. So for example, market makers and arbitrageurs may need to hedge their position in the underlying asset as well. But in the case for this iShares Bitcoin Trust, this is an ETF by BlackRock, so the actual Bitcoin ETF is backed by real Bitcoin. I'm guessing based on how the options of this fund are structured that it's probably just going to be settled in the shares of the trust. So most likely settled in the shares of the trust, or maybe cash, maybe even Bitcoin, but I'm not sure. Either way, I do expect to see more options for Bitcoin ETFs, even the Ethereum spot ETF in the future. Next up, shared by Bitcoin Magazine, so just highlighting that the global M2 money supply hit an all-time price. It's come down just a little bit since yesterday, but we can see the correlation historically. Bitcoin's price follows. So these are the liquidity cycles that we see every 4 years or so. So we can see M2 rising, Bitcoin rising, M2 rising, Bitcoin rising. We had the crash, and so we've been rising thus far. The way I see the Bitcoin price chart is this. For the few that are watching, this is Bitcoin on the monthly time frame. So we have these liquidity cycles. Some are long, some are short. Historically, once we get confirmation with the first major move, that first large monthly candle, which would be over 80,000 in this case, if you consider the diminishing returns of each cycle, then I'm celebrating. So if I see Bitcoin on the monthly time frame draw over 80,000, 84,000, even higher, then I'm celebrating, and I have confirmation that I want to see that the next cycle is here and Bitcoin's going to be running, leading for alts to move. We can see price action specifically after elections. These are the black vertical lines. So we have after elections, and after elections, and we have elections coming up in November. Will it be before? Will it be after? I have no idea. Bitcoin has just been ranging for 6+ months. It has been very boring. I shared a list of 49 assets that are at cycle lows, and the majority of those assets are in the top 300, and I've even seen more that are at cycle lows. So no major changes. We can see the importance of holding above the 8-month EMA, so that is why I'm looking forward to see where this monthly candle closes. If we get the move beforehand, awesome. I'm just not sure. Still watching this trend line as well, all the way down here. So to keep it simple, and yes, I know this is obvious, this is on the monthly time frame, if I see the first major move draw over 80,000, I'm excited. If we just range or even come down to these moving averages, I'm still waiting. We are holding an uptrend as long as Bitcoin is over 30,000. And at least during the previous cycles when Bitcoin drew major moves and all-time highs, kicking off what I consider the cycle, I know that cycles are typically measured from bottom to bottom or peak to peak. I'm considering the cycle I actually care about, positive price action. Referring to the first major move up until the cycle top, and historically for the last 3 cycles, this has been anywhere from 200 to 300 days of running. So is it guaranteed to happen? No. But do I believe it happens? Yes. And that's how I'm playing it, of course, not financial advice. And looking at alt season, all of these moves happened after Bitcoin drew major moves and all-time highs. We haven't seen that. So once again, Bitcoin dominance crashes, Bitcoin creates higher highs, and then the alts get the volume. So we saw that crash in 2017, we saw this crash in 2021, and we are still in another potential setup for an alt season in the future. I don't know if we're close to the top, I don't know if we go a little over 60%, even close to 70%, but when we see that crash, I expect alts to go parabolic. And even last cycle, there were alts that didn't have development activity, they had no utility on the network, and what whales did, just large institutions or, large account holders running bots, they would just rotate their holdings. So we saw last cycle assets with virtually no utility, very low liquidity, getting those multi-100% or even multi-1000% moves, and it was completely random. So being in this market since 2017, I'm definitely bored, but this is exactly what I'm looking for if we are going to get another cycle. Whether it's confirmation of Bitcoin drawing its first major move in the future or the crash of Bitcoin dominance. And then we'll all be excited again. I can do YouTube videos talking about actual positive news for once, and that'll feel great. I saw a lot of buzz on X of David Schwartz commenting on one of his older tweets from 2017. I know you guys have all seen this, basically just saying that XRP needs to have a high price to be more liquid and service payments better. So everybody's already seen this before, higher prices make payments cheaper, etc. But he did have some interesting comments below. So per usual, you'll see the same comments of, oh, it's been so long, or it's dirt cheap, and asking different questions. I can assure you that David Schwartz is way smarter than me, so every time he comments, I think it's well thought out, and I always pay attention. He understands payments and the current financial infrastructure. He understands the hurdles, the strategy, even the technology behind the XRP ledger. Going on to say, in fact, a lower price for XRP makes payments more expensive. This is why it was impractical to use Bitcoin to buy a house when Bitcoin was $100, but practical to use Bitcoin to buy a house now that Bitcoin is much higher. Lower prices for XRP make XRP payments more expensive. And obviously, a higher price for XRP makes payments cheaper because it's more liquid, it can send more value. He put out an interesting write-up about obstacles for using stablecoins for payments too. This is interesting, and at this point in the crypto market, especially when prices are low or boring, and believe it or not, XRP is held up significantly better than a lot of assets in this space. With all of this, it's funny because I was thinking this the other day, that, we're preaching all of these decentralized protocols and being trustless, not needing to trust any centralized authority, but there's still a lot of trust involved. At least for us retail investors, because we're all speculating in this asset class. This is not regulated, and I don't like overregulation by any means, but positive regulation and good guidelines will allow this asset class to grow. And realistically today, yes, we can look on block explorers for different networks, we can read the website, we can read the white paper, but there's still so much trust involved to make sure that the executives, that people running companies, that partnerships are legitimate for every single network out there. We've had things like the Commodity Exchange Act, basically virtual currency being regulated by the CFTC when it's used in a derivatives contract, or if there's fraud involving virtual currency traded in interstate commerce. But today it's super confusing because we have all of these US regulators that might have jurisdiction over crypto depending on different specific use cases. So the SEC, the IRS, the FTC, the OCC, etc. We've seen crazy things in this space. We've seen Solana do a multi-100x return, a top performer, and the network still goes down on a regular basis, but they have a big user base. They have institutional adoption. Same thing with even Terra Luna years ago. This asset did over a 500x return. If you were talking about any concerns with the founders, the team, or any corruption, most people wouldn't really believe you, and then it crashed to zero. So the point being, guys, is this space during a crypto bull run is one of the biggest opportunities out there. That is a huge reason why I'm here. I believe in the crypto space. I believe in a variety of assets I hold, and that's the game we're playing. Because during a bull run, it is the best thing ever. But even during a bull run, there are still so many types of risks. So there will always be uncertainty. There will be periods of greed, fear, euphoria, etc. And right or wrong, I believe in XRP, I believe in a variety of assets, I am holding them for the next alt season, and we're going to see which ones perform, which ones don't, which ones perform best, etc. And that's the game we're playing. I don't like the SEC. The only good thing about the SEC is having audited financial statements. It would actually be nice to have transparency and see actually the financials of all of these networks. I'm tired of the SEC, so if there's some new regulatory body or group that comes together instead, even better. We have right here put out by Ripple a recent Ripple Insights Going Cashless explaining stablecoin payments 101, a really good read for anybody interested. We're seeing a really big push towards stablecoins. I know that stablecoins are part of the future. I don't want CBDCs to be clear, but I want regulatory clarity for digital assets, security tokens, commodity tokens, exchange tokens, utility tokens, you name it, whatever the classification is. We know that global payments is a massive market, a massive use case, and it's trillions. I mean, we're talking over $100 trillion, even $250 trillion in the future. We've read the stats verbatim before, but we need to see regulatory clarity before we can even entertain the crypto asset class reaching its full potential in any industry vertical. Same thing for applications like Atma.io. This is by Avery Dennison on Hedera's Governing Council, and this is a really cool use case, and we've gone over this many times before, providing a bunch of HCS or Hedera Consensus Service transactions to Hedera's mainnet. I want to see this succeed. This is a grants project. I was listening to a video, and they said maybe they run for another year or two, but I want to see this go outside of the grant phase and actually show benefits, cost savings, so that an application like this in the crypto space can start scaling and servicing true utility to more and more customers. And just to clarify, at least in the video I saw from somebody from Hedera just saying that this is in the grant phase, it could be in the grant phase still for another year or two, but the hopes are that this launches and becomes a real application, and the idea is that this use case is used by more businesses. So every single dApp or application we see on different networks, we want to see this scale up. We don't want to see any of these applications fade away. Alright, I have a bunch to go over in future videos, but I haven't made a video in a few days, and this is really important, so we have to cover this. So I saw two tweets, one from Bob Gill, and then also from Mark.Casper. So let's read these. I'm gonna rant a little bit. Again, I don't have any information about this. So this rumor is circulating. Casper Labs with Prove AI, this is their application that is yet to launch. They do have Grayscale AI as their first design partner. So I reached out to Casper last week, or Casper Labs, and they did confirm that Prove AI is well underway in the integration process for Watson X. So I didn't even think this is a possibility. And what's the possibility and why I'm actually open to anything at this point is right here, the rumor that Casper Labs Prove AI may migrate to Hedera, or Prove AI is being sold off. 90% reliable sources. Nobody at the Casper Association or Casper Labs is denying this. This is a quiet period at Casper Labs now. So this is interesting, and again, I don't know who the reliable sources are, if they're valid or not, but it is interesting. So I haven't heard anything about this specifically. I did reach out to Casper Labs yesterday, and I haven't heard anything, so the silence makes me wonder. So Mark.Casper says, so right now there's a rumor going around that Prove AI is going to be sold to Hedera. Why would the co-founder of Casper Labs sell his creation, this application, his tool, to another blockchain? So I'll rant a little bit about different possibilities that are running through my head, whether they're right or wrong, but let me finish up this tweet by Mark. So what people don't understand is that Prove AI is a tool. A software as a service platform, whether it's built on Hedera or Casper, doesn't affect how they can sell this technology. So right now, Prove AI is being developed on the Casper blockchain. Why start over from scratch and migrate to another blockchain with a more expensive token? So looking at the token price, although there's other things to consider like HBarbarian sharing right here, the price of HBAR would be irrelevant because API calls to Hedera are fixed cost in US dollar. So again, I probably shouldn't even be reading this because there's going to be a lot of nasty comments just like there are on Twitter, but again, I'm just entertaining this. I don't know if this is true whatsoever, but as an investor, you should think about it, think about the possibilities, the good case, the bad case. So to entertain this, because at this point, anything is possible in this space, why would Casper Labs sell Prove AI? Well, it's a dApp that hasn't even launched yet, and Grayscale AI is just their first design partner, so this application is not even live. So is Casper Labs hurting for liquidity? Do they need to sell Prove AI to potentially have working capital? Maybe. And I guess if these rumors are true, I'd want it to be sold to a chain that I actually hold the token of, like HBAR, so hey, I'll take it because we've already had so many bad pieces of news this year. So in theory, if Hedera can actually execute, they have better funding, they've also experienced a bull run last cycle, then bring it on. And just looking at Prove AI on CasperLabs.io, I still have a bunch of questions, and remember, we're just entertaining this. I don't know if any of this is for sure. I guess if there were potential sales discussions or licensing discussions, it would make sense to be quiet and not respond, but I just want an answer. Or maybe Casper will get their stuff together and actually launch their first enterprise application with IBM. It is interesting because IBM, like I said, has close ties with Hedera, so that wouldn't necessarily surprise me. And remember that Hedera is also getting involved with AI with Equity Labs. This is an AI integrity suite. We've gone over this. We may have gone over it a couple videos ago. AI integrity begins here. So it would make sense if they were to use Prove AI. So I have a million questions. I have several concerns, and it just seems like the past year, everything that could go wrong has. For IPW going bankrupt, I know that's not Casper Labs' fault, but it just came out of nowhere right when they're about to launch. We had the testnet attack vector, I know that was fixed. There were also 13 wallets in an exploit that were compromised, I know that was fixed, and there are new tools. We had the CTO change, just a lot of unknowns. And looking at the Casper weekly price chart as we've gone over before, we did hit the weekly S3. I'm just not confident in calling for any type of bottom until we see the weekly RSI have a strong cross over the 30 line. I know we're in oversold, but as long as we're still below 30, selling momentum is high. So really at this point, just praying for some good news in the future. This would be my next level of interest if the S3 is not held right there in this purple box. And overall, just looking at Bitcoin dominance for the potential setup of another alt season, that's how I view it. When this crashes, alts retrace. And the same thing for HBAR, it hasn't performed yet. We're sitting at lows. We have not seen alt season. So I believe that a variety of assets have that potential when we get alt season. There's no such thing as a perfect asset in this space. When assets go up, people are happy. When it's crashing, people are frustrated, and rightfully so. But it doesn't necessarily mean that every single asset is a scam. When FET did over 100x, everybody loved it. When it does a 50% or 70% correction, I see people calling it a scam. Bottom line, prices fluctuate and crypto is volatile. But alright guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I have a bunch to go over in the next one. I did just want to have a general discussion over this. I don't know what happens. I don't know if the rumors are true. I've just accepted personally that anything is possible. It's never my intention to upset anybody, whether it's a Casper holder or someone that hates Casper. I do my best to talk about the good and the bad, and that's just from my perspective, whether it's right or wrong. So let me know your thoughts down below if you think it's a possibility that Prove AI would be sold, and if it's sold to Hedera, or maybe Hedera licenses Prove AI, or if Casper is actually just launching and these rumors aren't true. We're gonna find out, and with anything I find, I'll be sure to share it with you guys. You guys are my priority. We are in the absolute trenches in the crypto asset class. If you enjoyed this video, please consider hitting the like button and sharing your thoughts down below. As always, you can find all links, including resources for charting, trading bots, platforms, wallets, portfolio trackers, and exclusive discounts in my link tree at the top of the video description. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.